Oof, this is MAGA Mike Johnson, the Republican Speaker of the House's worst nightmare. His speakership could end sooner than even he expected before the midterms, and that could go down today depending on the results of the special election in Tennessee, whether a Democrat will pull off a massive upset, and whether that will cause other MAGA Republican Congress members to resign. And we're hearing.
How did you find out over the weekend that you were dead?
Now, watch this, because who's the only one smiling in that group? That's right. Good old JD.
Trump is threatening to make irreversible cuts if there's a shutdown, which, you know what, I was recently the victim of a government shutdown. They are reversible, I will tell you that.
Do you want to discuss someone who doesn't give up? Let me tell you about Jimmy Kimmel, because this person has been putting Trump and his entire crew on blast night after night, and they absolutely detest it. They actually attempted to cancel his show because they detest it so much. Yeah, you heard that right. The US president attempted to get a comedian fired for making jokes about him. However, this is what drives this tale completely crazy. Kimmel didn't just survive their attack. He came back stronger. And he has been exposing Trump, J.D. Vance, and Mike Johnson in ways that have left them frantically trying to contain the fallout. And the receipts are terrible, I promise. Let's start with what happened in September 2025, because this is when everything burst. After the tragic killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, Kimmel did what he always does. He called out the hypocrisy.
Vice President Maybelline was making the rounds, attempting to defend his boss and the chairman of the FCC with a new fairy tale even a 5-year-old wouldn't believe.
Celebrities are rallying to his cause, saying this is a First Amendment assault being carried out by the FCC, Brendan Carr, and by the President of the United States himself. And to that, you say?
Well, there are two things. First of all, I'd like them to tell me exactly what Brendan Carr did to have Jimmy Kimmel taken off the air, because number one, he is currently on the air, and to the extent that he isn't in certain stations, it's because he's not funny and because his ratings aren't very good.
I have some good news for you, J-Dog. We're back on all the stations.
That other resignations are imminent. A reminder, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel if you like our fact-based reporting leading the way of independent news. You may think you're subscribed, but you may not be, so hit the subscribe button right now. So MAGA Mike Johnson, while he's been panicking about this special election in Tennessee's 7th Congressional District set to take place today, he rushes to Tennessee. And while he rushes to Tennessee to go to the 7th Congressional District, he's wearing a Trump-Pence jacket that says 47 on the side of it. And he comes with his cell phone and he's like, everybody here, I want you to listen to what Donald Trump has to say. So
he pointed out how Trump and his MAGA group were in dire need of trying to utilize this tragedy for political points, working overtime to characterize the suspect as anything other than one of their own. Did Kimmel concentrate most now of his monologue on Kirk? No, he spent the majority of it completely demolishing Trump's response to the whole issue, and that's what really set them off. Within hours, Trump's appointed FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, went on conservative podcast host Benny Johnson's show and issued what can only be regarded as a direct threat. ABC and its local, he said, affiliates could face serious consequences.
I mean to interrupt your bullshit. Go on.
There's something else that's important here, Laura, which is that these broadcast companies, ABC, NBC, CBS, they enjoy the public airwaves because they serve the public interest. So I actually think that we should be having a conversation about whether these companies are serving the public interest. That's actually totally separate from the Jimmy Kimmel issue because nothing happened to him. He's currently on the air, and to the extent that he's not, it's because advertisers don't like him because his ratings aren't very good.
My ratings aren't very good. Last time I checked, your ratings were somewhere between a hair in your salad and chlamydia. In 3.5 years, I'm not the one who's going to be doing mascara tutorials on YouTube.
Just to remind you, this race in Tennessee features a MAGA Republican candidate by the name of Matt Van Epps. He's MAGA through and through, and he wants to be the decisive vote to push through more of Donald Trump's destructive agenda, fascist agenda. On the other hand, you have the Democratic candidate, the Tennessee State Representative Afton Bain, and she's running on a pro-democracy affordability platform. So Donald Trump is too scared to show up in the district for fear of getting booed. So he has MAGA Mike go there wearing basically like a Trump jersey. He's wearing a Trump Pence outfit. Then he goes into a safe space, like a very small room, no big crowds like Afton Bain, the Democratic candidate, is drawing. And he picks up his cell phone. He's like, everybody, listen to me. I have Donald on the phone. And then Donald Trump just starts like foaming at the mouth. And he's like, Afton Bain, she hates country music. She hates Christianity, right, MAGA Mike? She hates these things. I want you to watch this. And MAGA Mike just sits there, stands there, just like obedient and dutifully. Listen to Donald. Listen to Donald. By the way, reminder, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Including losing their broadcast licenses if they didn't take action. Posed to Kimmel. Let me repeat that. A government official threatened to revoke broadcast licenses because he didn't like a comedian's jokes about the president. That's not how America is supposed to function, guys. And guess what ABC did? They caved. They suspended Jimmy Kimmel Live indefinitely. On Truth Social, Trump declared it great news for America and asserted that Kimmel lacked skill. Kimmel's show was removed from dozens of local stations by major broadcast firms like Nexstar and Sinclair. If you're shocked that this happened in America in 2025, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we're chronicling every authoritarian step they don't want you to remember. But here's where J.D. Vance gets exposed for being an outright liar. After Disney brought Kimmel back less than a week later, since you know the First Amendment exists, Vance went on camera and tried to rewrite history.
A lot of pressure on J.D. Vance tonight. J.D. Vance hasn't been under a microscope like this since his wife asked him why the couch was so sticky. But Trump had good advice. He told him, just have fun. And you know what? It seems like he did.
I want to answer the question, but I want to actually give an introduction to myself a little bit because I recognize a lot of Americans don't know who either one of us are.
That's how you get the single cat ladies back on your side. You know, in some ways, you can't help but you kind of feel sympathy for J.D. Vance having to defend Donald Trump, who he himself openly denounced. It's kind of like being Diddy's defense attorney, you know? And
Here, play this clip of MAGA Mike.
Remember, he's got a majority of three. A majority of three. And there aren't many people can do that, but we have to win this seat. We've gotten you the largest tax cuts in history, and the new bill, the great big beautiful bill, kicks in, as you know, on January 1st. Hasn't even kicked in yet. And then you have no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. If you borrow money to buy a car, you get a deduction that's never happened before. All these things kick in on January 1st. A lot of people don't know. They said, oh, they already kicked in. I said, no, it doesn't start until January 1st. So that was the first date. I just want to thank everybody. I love Tennessee, one of my all-time favorite places. And Tennessee, I guess, loves me because we won by the biggest margins anybody's ever won by, so that's cool. But if you can go, Matt Van Epps, he's a winner. He's going to be great. Don't let this stuff fool you. The Democrats are spending a fortune. And we don't want people that want to raise your taxes. She wants to raise your taxes on top of everything else. But she said two things above all else that bothered me. Number one, she hates Christianity. Number two, she hates country music.
Now, while MAGA Mike was doing that in Tennessee, you had the White House being asked by the press during a briefing, do you think that MAGA Mike is going to lose that speakership? Do you think that the MAGA Republicans are going to have more resignations either before the midterms?
He said that Brendan Carr's threats were only a joke on social media. A joke. After playing the video of Vance saying this, Kimmel let go of the hammer. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your answer, sir. He then went on to demonstrate exactly what Carr had claimed. Serious threatening language about regulatory action and license revocations. Benny Johnson himself had described Carr's statements as threatening quick action. CNN had to literally fact-check Vance. pointing out that while Carr did share some silly animated drawings on social media, he also made totally serious threats in the interview with Benny Johnson. Vance completely skipped that bit when he claimed it was all just jokes. And Kimmel wasn't done with Vance.
In fact, both candidates were pretty darn polite to each other.
First of all, Tim just said something that I agree with. I agree. And I actually think I agree with you. I actually agree with Tim Walz.
I agree with a lot of what Senator Vance said. Governor, I agree with you. I agree with that.
And I think that Governor Walz and I actually probably agreed.
Well, Trump is not going to like that at all. You're in a lot of trouble, JD. I was kind of hoping they'd ask the candidates like some fun questions. Like, you know, they used to do that. Like, is a hot dog a sandwich? And then JD Vance would stare into the camera and say, when you're from Haiti, any dog can be a sandwich. But they didn't. There was no... They could have used a lot more talk about cats and dog eating.
Or you just think the MAGA Republicans are going to get wiped out in a blue tsunami come the midterms. Watch what Caroline Leavitt, Trump's chief propagandist, has to say. MAGA Mike, we know why you're scared. It's because of this. Let's play this clip.
With the red tie.
Thank you, Caroline.
Okay, Andrew, go ahead, and then you.
In wake of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor
Go ahead after.
Early resignation, reports last week indicated that other House Republicans might consider doing the same. Does the president have any concerns in light of those reports about other House Republicans potentially leaving early, as well as the other announced retirements that we saw in the last couple of days?
Look, I think the president maintains very good relationships with the vast majority, maybe with the exception of one or two. I think many in this room know who I'm referring to. Very good relationships with members of Capitol Hill within the Republican Party. And the president clearly is the unequivocal leader of the Republican Party. I think it was a recent CNN poll that actually showed that more than 90% of Republicans continue to support President Trump as the leader. So he maintains very good relations, as does his entire team here at the White House. And of course, we have a very slim margin in the House, and the president wants that to continue. Andrew, go ahead. Sure.
First one, administrative straight.
When the vice president asserted that Kimmel was removed from the air due to his lack of humor and poor ratings, Kimmel shot back. My ratings aren't very good. Last time I checked, your ratings were somewhere between a hair in your salad and chlamydia. The audience went crazy. Because here's the thing. Kimmel's return episode received 6.3 million viewers and got 14 million views on YouTube. His monologue garnered over 11 million YouTube views when the median video on his channel gets roughly 240,000. Trump's attempt to cancel him flopped so spectacularly that Google searches for Kimmel's showtime were up almost 10,000%. But hold on, things get even better. Remember how Vance said the stations weren't airing Kimmel because of his bad ratings? Following Vance's remarks, Nexstar and Sinclair both declared they would pick up the show again. I'm sorry. Kimmel joked about it perfectly. You almost have to feel sorry for him. He tried his hardest to cancel me. Rather, he made millions of people watch the program. That backfired bigly. To divert our attention from this, he may need to make the Epstein files public. Now,
thank you very much.
Mr. President, I want you to know sometimes when I watch you striding across the White House lawn so confidently, with so much masculinity, I'll admit it, I get sexually aroused. Thank you for breathing life back into my once slumbering penis.
That was very well stated, listen.
You can find common ground. What a weird summer. I mean, really, can anything just be normal anymore?
And then MAGA Mike was giving interviews throughout the day in Tennessee, like he talked on, or he spoke to Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and he goes, here's the thing about Van Epps. He will be the deciding vote on Trump's agenda. So if you want to continue Trump's agenda before the midterms, you got to put in Van Epps. Well, that should scare the crap out of people in Tennessee who are suffering from the tariffs, the farmers who are getting screwed over, the people whose health care is being ripped away, the people who need to go to rural hospitals and seeing that those are threatening to be shut down. Here's what MAGA Mike says on the radio. Here, play this clip right here.
There's no question on many key votes coming up over the next several months, Matt Van Epps will be the hero. I mean, he will be the deciding vote. There's no question about it. And it will make all the difference for the entire country.
Now here's MAGA Mike on stage right here. And Matt Van Epps posts this and he's just like, and what y'all need to know is that Matt Van Epps is a really good papa. He's a really good father. Here, play this clip.
This candidate is one of the best that has ever run. I'm not kidding because he has a servant's heart. You know, he's a dedicated husband and father.
Oh yes, the Epstein files. This is where Kimmel has been incredibly relentless, and it's definitely getting under Trump's skin. Every week, Kimmel brings up the fact that Trump made a campaign pledge to reveal the Epstein files and continuously promoted them. However, after taking office, his Attorney General, Pam Bondi, abruptly declared there was no client list to make public. "We are carefully following the path of Hurricane Epstein right now," Kimmel stated as he began his show in November 2025. It's a Category 5. It's expected to make landfall sometime very soon. He then asked the question everyone's been pondering. What did the president know? And when he found out, what was the age of these women? Trump went absolutely nuclear. He wrote on Truth Social, "Why does ABC fake news keep Jimmy Kimmel, a man with no talent and very poor television ratings, on the air?